In other crucial news, Bangladesh deployed a paramilitary force after at least 5 people were killed during violent demonstrations by thousands of university students, raising the specter of instability in a country familiar with protests. For weeks, students across Bangladesh have been protesting quotas for government jobs that were recently reinstated after being abolished in 2018 following another countrywide student protest. But the protests were first started by students of the University of Dhaka, and now they have spread to other universities and cities and turned increasingly political, pitting the ruling party against the opposition. Here are the details for you.
Student protests escalate in Bangladesh, with at least 6 people having been killed and hundreds injured after weeks of massive protests turned violent and shut down all schools and universities. The protests grew increasingly violent as police dispersed rallies with rubber bullets, tear gas, and lobbed sound grenades, injuring dozens more. The anti-quota protesters have been demanding an end to a job quota which reserves up to 30% of government jobs to the families of veterans who fought in Bangladesh's War of Independence. Protesters argue that the job quota is discriminatory and instead should be merit-based. Some have even alleged that it directly benefits groups supporting Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
আমরা কোটা যৌক্তিক সংস্কার চাইছিলাম, আমরা আর কিছু চাই নাই। আমি ঢাকাবাসীর পড়ালেখা করতেছি, পড়ালেখা করার পর 6 বছর পর যদি আমার কোনো জব না হয়, এই যে আমার পরিবারের ভোগান্তি, আমার ভোগান্তি সরকার নিবে, এটা কি দেশ নিবে?
According to ground reports, the protests intensified following a statement from the Prime Minister in which she used the term Razakar, which refers to people who collaborated with the Pakistani army during the 1971 Independence War, to label those opposing the quotas. The protesters retaliated and started chanting slogans calling themselves Razakars. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has since responded, calling the chants unfortunate and regrettable, and that the anti-quota protesters do not feel any shame for calling themselves as such. In light of the protests, Bangladesh has ordered all schools and universities to be shut down until further notice. But as demonstrations continue and students go on to be injured, the anti-quota protests are shaping up to be the biggest challenge for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government since winning a 4th term earlier this year. Samia Afsar for NDTV.
And Ridwan Ahmed joins us from Dhaka for the latest from Ground Zero. Thanks so much, Ridwan, for making time for us. Now, citing the safety of students, government officials have announced that they would shut down most schools and colleges indefinitely as these protests rage on.
Yes, so this instruction came on the day before yesterday, when most of the government institutions were declared closed. And yesterday, the government, especially the universities, they have instructed the students to vacate the dormitories, which the students denied. They said like they don't want to leave the university premise, and that fueled more protest across the university campuses in Dhaka, in the outskirts. There's called Jahangirnagar University, where people got hurt. I mean, the students, reporters, they got injured who came in between the clashes of the police and between the protesting students. So yeah, and today, especially today, the protesting students, they have announced a nationwide shutdown because, as you have seen, like the protest has now spread across the nation. It is not confined to Dhaka anymore, the capital anymore. So students from all across the countries have come to the streets, and they have announced that they're observing a nationwide shutdown.
Yes.
And that's going on as we speak right now.
Right, as Ridwan is reporting, members of the Border Guard of Bangladesh, which is actually normally responsible for border security, has been sent to 5 districts across the country to control the law and order situation amid ongoing quota reform movement in Bangladesh. Thanks so much, Ridwan, for joining us with the latest.